Exhibit 89. Exhibit 89 is an email that I sent to Donna Cameron. It mentions the message from the library worker that I was to remain at 1516 Grove Avenue for the remainder of the day. Donna Cameron had been there at 1516 Grove and tried to have a finale to all of her harassment. She tried to provoke me. She confessed in her 10-609 unwarranted hearing. She confessed to Linda Baldwin of General Service Employees Local 382 that her disorderly conduct toward me only ended after I went to place a phone call to try to get help. Exhibit 90. I wrote to Donna Cameron, and as Donna Cameron did, I wrote to Princess Hayes, to Kathy Walker Steele, and also to Mr. O.W.E. I wrote about Donna Cameron's more than disorderly conduct and fearing being attacked by her. I wrote of Donna Cameron's delivering a message for me to remain at 1516 Grove Avenue, and then her having me to leave and report back to 1955th Street, 1915 North 55th Street. And as I've mentioned here on video, I had to sign in and out of 1915 North 55th Street each day during my very temporary assignment there. So here I was made to go back. The email also speaks of the unwarranted hearing request. And of her unnecessarily visiting 1915 or 55th Street, where she comes to read her request for an unwarranted hearing. Exhibit 91. Here's the same exhibit of 91. It shows what it was received at the Board of Education on this day. It mentions slouched, meaning the position that I was sitting in when Donna Cameron arrived on 8/24/09. I was sitting on a love seat in a professional position waiting on the excessive work to arrive after having a conversation with the library worker regarding the love seat, and I went over to admire it more. And also material that was on the table where I initially sat had been there days before during a meeting that Donna Cameron conducted with us there, in which she told the library workers that I would have to visit their schools and help them to do work. Here she unnecessarily mentions black, and speaking of a chair, but it was a love seat that I sat on. Exhibit 92. It's my certified mail receipt of sending a transfer request into the Board of Education. It shares about the retaliation also on the document. So it's here is part 2 of Exhibit 92. Here I'll speak of retaliation that I have been enduring. Another part of Exhibit 92, certified mail ticket. Assignment changes here. Lonzo Greenwood had offered me a paraprofessional job. Once again, Lonzo Greenwood had offered me a paraprofessional job, and Exhibit 92 is my request to fill that position. Initially, I declined his offer. He personally extends that offer, and he personally confessed to having representatives to call me regarding summer school positions during 2 consecutive school years, and I declined those positions. Exhibit 93. I wrote to Donna Cameron. She had mentioned that I should work at 7710 State Street, and she emphasized that the book of representatives from Follett would be there to assist me, and if I was to finish, I should go to 558 North 27th Street. It's noted that the representatives from the book company were to do all of the processing of the books, including putting them on the shelves, and that was if such large orders were placed as in this case. But instead, Donna Cameron was again having me to drive around to the different schools and help with the work. Exhibit 94. Donna Cameron requested a non-existent library schedule and a newly assigned weekly report. So here it is, dated August 26th. This particular exhibit, 2 days after she unsuccessfully provoked me for her harassment was continuing. Exhibit 95. Donna Cameron wrote to me saying that I should go to 558 North 27th and that Follett, the book company, would be there to assist me. I quote the word assist again. Exhibit 96. I wrote to Donna Cameron saying that the principal could not locate the library schedule and that the principal would email it to Donna Cameron. Donna Cameron had given a 3:30 deadline. Once again, she continued to increase my assignments and change them. Once again, I was hired as a media technician. I was told by Principal Page that I should work with students in the computer lab. That assignment was at 558 North 27th Street. Exhibit 97. I wrote to Donna Cameron about beating a new deadline for a library schedule. And I wrote from 2801 Summit regarding their library schedule. Exhibit 98. I wrote to Mary Davis and Donna Cameron about being told by Mary Davis to lift the heavy library chairs and put them on the tables. And I wrote of the officer voluntarily helping. I have resisted the sexual advances of Mary Davis. She waited outside for me to come onto the premises. She reached for a handshake and she massaged the inside of my hands. I pulled away and quickly tried to enter the building. And when I looked back, she was watching me walk. I asked if there was something she needed to say, and if it was about my lower garment, my blue jeans. She said, yes. Yes, however. And no harm was meant. I tried to refocus her by mentioning the student's education. My appropriately fitted blue jeans, I should say. I've written in court documents that my attire is usually on the more conservative style, even with blue jeans. Exhibit 99. I wrote to Mary Davis and Donna Cameron about the insurance man joining in to help with the chairs, and of Mary Davis telling me that I should always do this, take the chairs onto and off of the table. The guy that accompanied Mary Davis was said by her that he was an insurance man. I shared of the 8/24/09 transfer request, since Mary Davis did not seem to want me at her facility, or the facility that she was over. Once again, a total of 3 to 4 people were assigned to work in that library, and I was hired to work in the computer lab. Exhibit 100. I wrote to Mary Davis. It's the original document. I'm sorry, Mary Davis wrote to me in this document. It's the original. It's about the heavy lifting of the chairs. and it's regarding false and misleading information regarding library books. I had unpacked the books that Teresa Saunders directed me to unpack and to keep busy, or to try to keep busy. I voluntarily tried to make the other books better. Exhibit 101. Mary Davis wrote to me. It's the original about blue jeans and her threat of disciplinary action. She said that no blue jeans were allowed at that facility. Exhibit 102. Mary Davis wrote to me. It's an altered document about the heavy chairs. Initially, she used Madam, which I do not care for, and in the altered version, she used Mrs. MRS, period. Exhibit 103. Mary Davis wrote to me. It's an altered document about blue jeans and her threat of disciplinary action. In the original, she used Madam, which I did not care for, and in the altered version, she used Mrs. MRS. Exhibit 104. I wrote to Princess Hayes about a 9-1009 certified mail of an unwarranted hearing, and of my calling Kim Haywood, who was a male, and learning that it was canceled or rescheduled. Also in Exhibit 104, Princess Hayes wrote to me about not knowing an answer about the unwarranted hearings that were scheduled and canceled and rescheduled and all. Exhibit 105. It's a request of library material, and in the different titles, it defines the kind of environment that I was made to work in. One Day at Horrorland, The Haunted March, Out of the Basement. And certainly, all of this did give me goosebumps, or could give one goosebump, the story of the employment discrimination. Exhibit 106. I wrote to Donna Cameron that no students came to the library as Dr. Teresa Saunders indicated. I asked if the job assignment changed a report was necessary. This was a new job assignment, always making a weekly report. So in the email I asked if it was necessary because students overall did not come to the library. If they did, it was very rare. And once again, the initial library worker always wanted to be the one to serve them. Exhibit 107. Donna Cameron wrote to me. She used some especially malicious, harassing talk. It relates to the excessive driving assignment that I was given, the excessive work that I was given. In her email, I was instructed to unorganize the library and serve students out of it. Exhibit 81 earlier showed some of the work that I was working on at the particular time of the email. Exhibit 108. Mary Davis wrote to me and some other workers at the school. It was regarding binding a book. The staff whom she had me to work with in the binding attempted to leave the area and leave it incomplete. And then I commented, and they stayed here. Once again, was another assignment change. I was hired as a media technician to work in the computer lab with students. Exhibit 109 relates to certified mail to General Service Employees Local 382. September 11, 2009. Shows that this mail was not picked up until September 23rd, 2009 by Kim Haywood for the mail. Local 382 failed to represent me once again. The case was against them. They were one of the defendants. I sent certified mail once again regarding Exhibit 109. This is page 1 of my document that I sent. It consists of 7 pages. I blocked out the names in the document, hoping to discourage further harassment and retaliation. Exhibit 8 that relates to Saturday Night Live, calling these kinds of people mentioned in this case. They were those who worked to make a hellhole. So even the blocking out of names did not discourage their efforts to try to make a hellhole for them. Exhibit 110. Diana Cameron wrote to me and others, offering her cell phone number during a time of acceptable unavailability. She had lost her grandmother, and still she welcomed unnecessary contact. Exhibit 111. I wrote to Donna Cameron about discarding encyclopedias and asked for the dates that would relate to those that would be discarded. Exhibit 112. Donna Cameron wrote to me and said, do not discard any encyclopedias, and that she would be ordering more. Exhibit 113. I wrote to Princess Hayes. I had received unwarranted hearing notifications. I wrote to Princess Hayes that I welcome true union representation. I wrote that I appeared at the board building on dates that the unwarranted hearings were to take place, just in case they did, and it could not be held against me that I did not show. Nothing was in writing about the cancellation, so I thought it would be wise to check in anyway and sign a sign-in sheet or something down there. I wrote in the document that probation nor an unwarranted hearing were appropriate, as Kim Haywood had mentioned to me regarding Donna Cameron trying to provoke me on 8/24/09 and then confessing in the 10/6/09 unwarranted hearing that her more than disorderly conduct toward me only ended after I stopped working on an added assignment to go and try to call for help. And certainly I mentioned that their final unreasonable request of me was not appropriate. That unreasonable request, the reason for it was not even discussed until after I was terminated, when Princess Hayes told Judge Roberta Schallenberger that because of how I was towards Mary Davis and staff, meaning those that harassed me, sexually harassed me, I was being asked to go to an unwarranted and unreasonable setting and discuss this. In the judge's final order, he said that because of how I spoke during the unwarranted hearing, the unwarranted request was made for me to once again go to an unwarranted setting. So, moving on to also for Exhibit 113, I mentioned all of the harassment. I referred to it as having a snowball domino ripple, etc. effect. And further in the exhibit, U.S. Attorney General refers to this kind of behavior, actions from people as the climate. And earlier here in the exhibit, Saturday Night Live refers to it as a hellhole. So Going on with Exhibit 113, I had mentioned that Kathy Walker Steele had spoke of this chaos song with Marina Lewis by asking Marina Lewis if she was bringing friendship mess, meaning friendship, Missionary Baptist Church, whether she was bringing it to my workplace. Marina Lewis did not deny it. Here in this same Exhibit 113, I humbly informed Princess Hayes that I was continuing to be willing to help in genuine areas if I was needed. I asked that my 82409 transfer request be given fair consideration. Moving to Exhibit 114, it's the document that Princess Hayes brought to the 10-6-09 unwarranted hearing. It mentions a document from Mary Davis, those two that she gave different versions of. Mary Davis did not show up for the unwarranted 10-6-09 unwarranted hearing. Neither was there a deposition taken from Mary Davis regarding this case. There was an affidavit, and I responded to it in my more detailed summary judgment response. Exhibit 114 also mentions Donna Cameron's 824-09 unwarranted hearing request. Moving to Exhibit 115. It's a certificate of mailing. Years October 9th, 2009. I wrote to General Service Employees Local 382. I gave a recap of the 10-6-09 unwarranted hearing, and I gave a response to Mary Davis to her documents. I have the documents ready to submit during the 10-6-09 unwarranted hearing, and I asked Lonzo Greenwood if I could use a printer to print out my responses, and he just advised me to do it later. So I decided to send those documents to certified mail. Here's page 1 of the document that relates to Mary Davis. Speaks of her sexually harassing me, the heavy chairs that she had me to lift onto and off of the table, and other information. Here's part 2 to Exhibit 115. And backing up to part 1 of Exhibit 115, the document relating to Mary Davis, it has 2 pages. Part 2 of Exhibit 115 has 3 pages. Here it says, I thought about the hearing and composed some information about the hearing. Again, it's a recap of the hearing. Here I let them know that my stature, more pure beliefs, and lifestyle, my heterosexual and more responsible lifestyle, also good work ethic, and more seem to annoy some, and I hope that they would allow me to serve. Maybe I should have done this one. Again, that document has 3 pages. Exhibit 116. Donna Cameron wrote to the staff, I was on an unwarranted leave. Back during the time, let me see here. Okay, we're calling Exhibit 79 here. Sorry. Exhibit 79 relates to a meeting that Donna was announcing. And in that meeting, she shared with library workers and librarians that I would be made to drive to the different schools and help with their books. I just wanted to be sure that I mentioned that, because I didn't earlier. Exhibit 117. Princess Hayes called me. I returned her call, and she advised me to report to 1005 State Street, the board building, for an assignment letter. As Princess Hayes visited the building, an assignment letter was given to me. Well, shortly after she exited. It was by an unidentified person. That letter has the name of signature of LaToya Greenwell on there. I reported to I believe it's 125 South 10th Street. That was a new assignment. Donna Cameron came there to stalk me. She asked about the whereabouts of the library worker. I shared that she was at a meeting, which Donna Cameron had to know about. She said she forgot. Here's Exhibit 117 again. Latoya Greenwood, there's an affidavit. She said that she saw no reason why I could not do my assignments. And as I wrote in documents, I did my assignments and others too. And I responded to all the affidavits. In my more lengthy summary judgment response, Exhibit 118. And I should mention the summary judgment. My responses, eventually, I was told that 20 pages was the limit, and that the information had to be double-spaced. When the court first told me to respond, they did not give me those instructions. On the day that I submitted the summary judgment response, I called the clerk for the judge. The clerk never returned my call. So I was going to ask any questions that I had. Exhibit 118. The principal at 2600 Kansas, which was my last work assignment or location. She gave her home number and cell number, which really I did not need. Exhibit 119. It relates to me writing to Teresa Saunders, the principal at 125 South 10th Street. That is the correct address. After I returned from lunch, he told me that Teresa Saunders wanted me to report to 2600 Kansas. I wrote the email to Teresa Saunders. I told her about my hand injury. I told her about the 7-page document that was written to General Service Employees Local 3822. I requested to return to 558 North 27th Street. Teresa Saunders was the person that reassigned me from there. I mentioned the 10609 unwarranted hearing. I mentioned that I had mailed 2 other documents after the hearing, the unwarranted hearing. I wrote that I had not been allowed to use the computers for library work until arriving at 125 South 10th Street. Once again, I was hired as a media technician to work with students in the computer lab. Exhibit 120. I forwarded Princess Hayes a copy of the email that I had sent Teresa Saunders. Exhibit 121. Here's a copy of the envelope. The mail was unclaimed, but I sent to Local 382. January 23rd, 2010. Here's a certificate of the certified mail. January 23rd, 2010. Exhibit 122. Certified mail. Princess Hayes. Here's the actual exhibit that relates to 122, the actual document. This document went to Princess Hayes and also Funeral Service Employees Local 382. Again, Funeral Service Employees Local 382 failed to claim their copy. This document mentions my 8/24/09 transfer request, my work-related injuries to my hand and my foot, and the appointments that I had to try to get help with my work and my work-related hand and foot injuries. It mentioned the unneeded, unfair, and impure, unreasonable request of me, and it mentioned that I fear increased retaliation. This document consists of 4 pages. Once again, the unreasonable request was to discuss my resisting the sexual advances of Mary Davis and other staff officials that sexually harassed me. Exhibit 122. Before I go forward, I continue to mention, because you never know what segment someone is viewing and how much they've heard. I am a heterosexual, and I resisted the sexual advances of Mary Davis, other staff, and some officials. Exhibit 122. Also, I should say. It's an email that I sent to Princess Hayes about the 12310 letter, January 23rd, 2010. Exhibit 123. Princess Hayes began to send me unwarranted documents regarding the unreasonable request and also unwarranted hearings. Consists of a number of documents. Exhibit 124. It relates to the unwarranted hearing that took place on 10/6/09, which was requested by Donna Cameron. It mentions that the documents from Mary Davis would be discussed, and also Donna Cameron's request for this particular hearing. Mary Davis again did not show up for the unwarranted hearing. Exhibit 125. Exhibit 125 relates to a 5/3/10 unwarranted hearing that stemmed from Donna Cameron requesting a hearing that took place on 10/6/09. It said that insubordination and noncompliance would be discussed in this 5/3/10 unwarranted hearing. So I had not gone forward with accepting more retaliation or more harassment by discussing my heterosexual and monogamous and biblically based reasons for rejecting the sexual advances of staff and officials and affiliates that work with the district. Exhibit 126. We're going to go into part 4. This video will be ending soon. We'll go 127 and forward in just a moment.